Hey guys, welcome back to Alpha CG. In this video, we'll be texturing the battery that we created in the previous tutorial. Let's jump right in. Click on the shading tab. By default, it should be in the solid view or the look depth. So the look depth is essentially predefined lighting kind of view of your actual scene, but this does not apply to your render. So now let's just go to the render settings because we want to see how it looks in the actual render. And later we'll be deleting this light. For now, just to see the objects, we'll just keep it. Before we add in the materials, just enable a couple of settings. So go to the render properties, enable screen space reflections, make sure you have refraction also enabled. Now let's add in the material. Click on your battery object, and by default this is the node setup that you have. We'll be reducing the roughness to 0. This will make it completely reflective and increase the transmission because we want light to pass through it as much as possible. Now it has this glossy feel. Now we are going to enable screen space refraction in the material settings. You get this material settings by pressing N in the shade editor, N, to show or hide this. In this tabs right here, go to the options and enable screen space refraction. Now the object kind of looked like glass. Let's shade this plane right here, which serves as the emission for that actual wave that you saw in the animation. We'll be just getting rid of this and giving it an emission shader. Material output, just connect this to the material output, and now it glows. Just crank the strength to 10, and now it's much more like a light. We'll be changing the color to green, preferably change it to something on the extreme so that it looks more animated. When you have flat view, you actually can't see it because we've not angled it in any way. For now, actually we'll be beginning with the red, so we'll just keep it to the red and make sure you have it in a red color, not the pink one. It kind of looks weird when it's in that. I forgot one thing. Go to the world settings and change the color to black, like absolute black. Now it's much more visible. While animating it, we'll be actually changing the color. We'll be animating the lights as well, like the emission, so we can choose when to change the color to green or yellow, whatever it is. If you want, you could add a texture map, but I don't think it's necessary, so we'll just leave it as it is. Next, click on the duplicated cylinder, the cylinder O1, and click on a new material. So we'll not be needing this principal BSCF, so we'll be just reading it. Shift A and click on the search over here and just type in emission. This will be our node setup for this emission over here, but this will be slightly different from the plane because we need to actually make sure that half of it or a portion of it isn't emitting light during certain keyframes. So we'll be having a slightly different setup. Next, we'll be adding in a translucent a transparent PSDF. Don't mix that up. Now in order to mix these two shaders, we'll be adding in a mix shader. Very easy to understand. A mix shader does mixing of these two shaders. Now we'll just plug these nodes in. Now this factor decides how much of each shader is used. So if I were to put it to 0, then the transparent would be used because this is connected to the first input, and if I got this to 1, only the emission shader would be used. Let's just keep it to 0.5 so that both are used in a proportionate way. Now Shift A, search and search for color ramp, add that in, and now plug that into the factor. Now Control T if you have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled, click on the image texture and just delete, pressing X on your keyboard, and connect the vector to factor. If you don't have the Node Wrangler enabled, just go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and type in Node, and you'll have these options. Check the Node Wrangler, make sure that's ticked, and that's it for this. Later we'll be deciding how to make it so that only a portion of it is emitting light. For now, we'll just leave it as it is. We could just increase the strength. That's the only thing left for the texturing. And we had created a circle previously. This circle will make it so that every part of it is, except for this face over here, is emitting light. So let's just do that as well. So we are going to use the previous material that we did, this material. Let's go ahead and name these so that it's more easy to recognize them. So this was our battery material, so let's just name it glass, and go into the second cylinder that we modeled, apply the material to, and just change that name to emission. So now click on the circle and choose the emission. Sorry, sorry. Now you want to right now it's the same material applied to the circle as well as this duplicated cylinder. So what would happen is, if you make any change in this, it affects both the objects. We don't want that to happen. So what we'll be doing is, we'll be duplicating the material as well. So just click on this right here, then it shows a number here. Just click on that. Now it's duplicated. One thing that we have to do, we have to make sure we don't mess up, is make sure the texture coordinate right here is the object node of the texture coordinate is connected to the vector and not the UV, because we haven't actually unwrapped the UVs for it, so it'll kind of look wonky if we actually try to map it to the UV. We'll just leave it as it is. And even this same issue with the circle as well, so we'll just keep it to the object. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial. And the scene, of course, we should not forget that. So let's just give it that also a material. So how I made it super reflective was obviously decreasing the roughness to 0 and increase the metallic all the way. Now you see that reflection, that it kind of functions like a mirror now. That's it, very easy. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.